66, 966, 967, and Verizon 29 and 30. We also operate a low-power FM station on WPPM FM. PhillyCAM's in its 10th year of operation after a 27-year campaign to get public access television in Philadelphia. It's a community media center that brings the people of Philadelphia to make and share media that promotes creative expression, democratic values, and civic participation. PhillyCAM teaches people to create high-quality, non-commercial media. Even though the stipulation about funding for PEG channels has been tabled in the current rule change, it still leaves the door open at a later time for companies like Comcast and Verizon to be able to write off that from the franchise fees. At this time, we ask that Comcast and Verizon honor its current commitment to the franchise agreement it currently has with the city of Philadelphia, and to continue to fund important public access stations like PhillyCAM. There are many things the public can do to find out more information. You can visit the Alliance for Community Media website. They can also sign a petition that can be found at tinyurl.com/SavePeg, and also contact their elected officials, particularly members of the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives, to voice opposition to the proposed rule through a letter to the FCC until the July 25th comment deadline. Now we'll hear from Stephen Tenderos, the Deputy Director of Media Justice.
Hey, what's up, everybody watching live online? We're coming to you here live and direct from Philadelphia at Netroots Nation. So as Vanessa mentioned, my name is Stephen Renderos. I'm the co-executive director at Media Justice. We're a nonprofit organization based in Oakland, California, and our core mission is to fight for a future in which we're all connected, represented, and free. We're also the host of a national network called the Media Justice Network, and we have about 102 members from all over the country, including groups like PhillyCAM and Media Mobilizing Project, who you will be hearing from pretty shortly. This is an issue that is particularly personal for me. When I was a young college student and I was idealistic in believing that I wanted to be a filmmaker, the first place I went to learn and pick up some skills was at my local public access TV station, St. Paul Neighborhood Network. What I didn't know then is that that institution, which existed to train me on how to create my own stories using film, using TV, producing, I didn't realize that institution existed because of the ability of my local city to negotiate with my cable operator, which at that time was Comcast, which is true here in Philadelphia, where Comcast is based, and be able to negotiate certain concessions and benefits to the community. And that's why public access TV stations exist. And that was particularly important for me because having grown up as a Salvadorian in a predominantly undocumented immigrant household, the stories of people like me that look like me and represent my experiences weren't really reflected in the media that I consumed. So public access TV stations and community radio stations were one of the very few places where we could actually own and create our own stories. And that's just not true everywhere else in media, right? If you look at the mainstream media system that we live in, less than 5% of TV stations and radio stations are owned by people of color, are owned by women. We have a serious dearth of ownership and ability to control those stories. So the reality is that public access TV stations become one of the very few places where you can actually live a future in which you're connected, represented, and free, where you have the ability to control your own stories. And what the current FCC, led by Ajit Pai, a former Verizon lawyer, is trying to do is really strip our local communities from the ability to have that power to own and control our own stories. And we have to realize that, beyond teaching people the skills to create their own media, public access TV stations have actually evolved over the years to do much more than that. They are the place where people go to. I know here in Philadelphia, a lot of people go to PhillyCAM to get access to the internet. A lot of people go to places like Create TV in San Jose to get vital jobs trainings that they need to get the kinds of jobs that they need to compete in a place like Silicon Valley. That is public access TV stations now are playing a role that is beyond what they were set out to design to do, but they are vital institutions that must remain. So this current FCC, with this proposal and other proposals over the last few years, has demonstrated that they don't care about people of color. They don't care about poor people. They don't care about the ability of those communities who are living at the margins of our media society to be able to see themselves represented in our media system. And that's why we have to fight back, and that's why we've been fighting back. This current FCC has heard from thousands of people all over the country telling them this is a bad proposal, and yet they're still wanting to move through with it. And so you have to ask, who benefits from all of this? It's going to be the large corporations, Comcast, Verizon, who are going to be able to use this proposal to further strip our local communities from the vital resources that we need. So what can you do? You need to be reaching out to your members of Congress. You need to be taking action. And beyond that, support your local public access TV station. If you live here in Philadelphia, become a member of PhillyCAM and look up your local public access TV station in your community and support them, because they're going to need your help now more than ever. And we stand here in solidarity with PhillyCAM, with groups like the Alliance for Community Media, with members of the Media Justice Network, including Media Mobilizing Project, who you'll hear from shortly. We are here, and follow us at MediaJustice.org, where you can get more information and follow groups like PhillyCAM online to get access to petitions and other ways that you can take action and support. So thank you. And with that, I'll pass it on to the next speaker.
Thank you to, again, our allies from Media Justice and all of the members of the coalition. Right now, we'd like to hear from Dana Floberg. She is the policy manager at Free Press, a national media reform organization that's been working on an array of freedom of speech and communications issues for many, many years.
Hello, my name is Dana Floberg. I'm the policy manager at Free Press and Free Press Action, where we fight for people's rights to connect and communicate. Right now, those rights are under threat. The FCC's proposal to redefine franchise fees is so overbroad that it would be comical if it did not have serious implications for local governments, public access stations, and the local news and information that our communities depend on. Forcing local franchise authorities to choose between their statutory rights to demand a full franchise fee and their statutory rights to protect public access channels and other public interest concerns is not only a baffling interpretation of settled law, but a major step in the wrong direction when it comes to protecting our local news ecosystem and local voices. It could force cities to choose between maintaining existing franchise fees as a critical source of funding for local efforts such as important digital inclusion projects, or supporting public access channels and other franchise measures that ensure our communities have a voice to share their stories and to organize in their own communities. No matter how each local franchise authority decides to resolve these artificial and arbitrary choices, our local communities will suffer as a result. The Commission majority, led by FCC Chairman Ajit Pai, claims that this proposal would set to rights some injustice perpetrated by big bad cities against poor, vulnerable cable companies like Comcast. But there is no evidence of these supposed harms. In fact, in the FCC's own record, only a sparse handful of massive industry players weighed in support of the FCC's proposal, compared to hundreds and hundreds of local communities, public access stations, and public interest groups still fighting to stop it. The FCC's proposal is a gross misreading of the Cable Act that defies decades of Commission precedent and ignores clear legislative intent, all in favor of Chairman Pai's relentless pursuit of pro-industry policies that leave local communities underserved. The Commission must not vote to approve this proposal. Instead, it should abandon this extreme redefinition of franchise fees and remember its duty is to listen to the people, not to cable profiteers. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank our allies at Free Press for all the work that they do, not just on this issue, but many issues, including net neutrality and other ways that we can maintain our freedom of speech. Right now, I'd like to welcome Devin Washington, the senior policy organizer at Media Mobilizing Project, a community-based organization based here in Philadelphia that's an ally and also a fellow member of the Media Justice Coalition.
Hello. As previously stated, my name is Devin Washington. I am the senior policy organizer at Media Mobilizing Project, located here in Philadelphia. I want to talk a little bit about the harms to the community that this proposed change will cause. The 30% reduction in the investment the city is making in programs that attack the digital divide here in Philadelphia. Some of you may not know that Philadelphia is the second, as in regards to broadband penetration or access to broadband in the homes. Philadelphia is the second lowest city in that regard, meaning that our poor community here, our black and brown community here, the LGBT, trans community are all at stake in being left behind digitally, meaning that they are not going to have access to broadband. They're not going to have access to things like the internet and computers that will help enrich their lives in so many ways. And so this is something that we have been fighting at Media Mobilizing Project for a long time, right? We have done the Cap Comcast campaign, and we've also been partners with PhillyCAM as they have fought to secure their funding so many years ago. And we're going to continue to fight for this because it's so important as we move forward in time. You know, it's 2019. More and more technology is going to replace a lot of the things that we do on pen and paper, with stores, things of that nature, and we cannot afford to leave our communities behind. So Media Mobilizing, on behalf of Media Mobilizing Project, we would like to urge everyone to ensure that they are making comments on the FCC's websites, and they're calling their senators and calling their Congress members to fight what the FCC is trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin, for those comments. Again, I want to thank all of you who are watching online, all of the media that has joined us here today, all of our allies that have been working on this issue with us, and especially our elected officials who have expressed their support. Specifically, I'd like to thank our representative in Philadelphia, Mary Gay Scanlon, and Senator Merkley, who has also been an outspoken advocate for the cause of public access. If you'd like to take action, again, you can go to tinyurl/save-PEG, and you can also visit our website, PhillyCAM.org. All of these organizations, Media Justice, Free Press, Media Mobilizing Project, have great information on their websites and their social media pages. We urge you to express the value of having access to these public media infrastructure, such as PhillyCAM. Let your elected officials know, let people in the city know how much we need public access and access to communication in general in our cities. We want to thank everybody for supporting us, and again, urge you to take action. Thank you so much.